Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening. Welcome to The Nest. It's April 22nd, 2021, and I'm Jim Chu in San Francisco, and we're streaming live with investors and entrepreneurs from around the world. Our goal here on The Nest is to connect entrepreneurs in frontier markets with angel investors worldwide. We stream live every month, and all episodes are recorded and available on our website, untapped-global.com. This month marks 1 year to the day when we first started The Nest at the start of the pandemic. So we're bringing back 2 Nest alumni to give us an update on how they've done. And also, we're going to introduce them to 3 new investors from the US, Kenya, and South Africa. But before we get started, a quick shout out to our partners today, Invest Africa, Fantastic Beasts, and the Yale Africa Startup Review. Lee, would you like to do a quick intro about Fantastic Beasts?
Sure. Hi everyone. I'm Lee, the CEO of Fantastic Beasts, and it has been great for us to be in the Nest community over the past year, and we are partnered with Untapped Global now. So Fantastic Beasts is a global venture video database to connect pre-seed and seed stage startups with the most relevant investors, with a particular emphasis on BAM, female, green, sustainable, and impact business. And since the launch of our MVP, the SaaS platform last May, we have garnered about 400 startups and 170 investors sign up on our platform. We would really like to see more African startups and Africa-focused investors to make use of our platform, bring more capital and expertise to the Africa market, and hope everyone join today's event.
Great, and I'm curious what the split among your companies are in terms of where people are from. Are they mostly African? Are they mostly Asian? Are they mostly from somewhere else? How does that look?
It's quite diversified, actually. Probably about 25% of startups are from the UK, and the rest are from the Europe, from the US, and from Africa, from Asia. So it's quite interesting for those international investors.
And what about the investor side? What does the mix look like over there?
So regarding the investor side, as Fantastic Beasts is a London-based London-based company. So majority of our investors are either UK-based VC or angels. But of course, we got some interested investors from other countries, but they are not a lot, to be honest, at the moment.
Well, great. Well, thank you for joining us today, and thank you for staying up late. I know you're in China, and it's past midnight over there, so we'll try to keep this as exciting as possible to keep you awake.
That'd be great.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Hi, Samuel.
Hey.
Great. Glad you could join us. I'd love to hear a little bit about YASR.
Absolutely delighted to. Hey, everyone. My name is Sam Kitara. I'm Ugandan. I'm a co-founder and editor of the Yale Africa Startup Review, and we're proud to partner with Untapped on this anniversary of the Nest. Congrats. The review is an alumni and student-led initiative of the Yale School of Management, and we're on a mission to share stories of ingenuity and innovation about the African startup ecosystem. Our flagship product is the YASA 30 list, and it's an annual online publication featuring really exciting startups and founders on the continent. And what's unique about the review is really it's very grassroots-driven approach to sourcing with stakeholders that are active in the ecosystem, providing wider geographical coverage across all 55 countries beyond key hubs, more depth across verticals, and a lot of width across investment stages. That's in a nutshell what we do at the review. I'll drop a link to the YASA 30 list in the chat, and also share a link to the Africa Startup Ecosystem Lab final, which we're actually hosting tomorrow at 9:30 US time. Again, thanks a lot. Congrats, Oumar. Congrats, Derrick. Looking forward to it.
Great. No, thank you very much, Samuel, for joining us. And we also have Invest Africa on the line as well. Alexander, would you like to say hello or say a couple of words about Invest Africa?
Hi, Jim. Great to hear you. Sorry, we've just, let me just turn my camera on. We're in the office today. So a hello from sunny London. Really looking forward to this.
Great. And thanks for being partners with us on organizing in-person nests. And as you know, in 2021, or many of you know, 2021, we're actually creating a hybrid Nest pitch sessions where we have the online element as well as in-person sessions in various parts of the world. Well, great. Thanks for joining us and being our partner. So in honor of it being our 1-year anniversary, I'd like to do a quick retrospective on this last year. Since our first Nest pitch session, which we had almost exactly 1 year to the day today, we've hosted over 80 startups, more than 60 investors, and we've had more than 3 million in commitments for pre-seed and stage companies in over 24 countries. And so I would just say thank you for everyone, the audience, and especially the team at Untapped Global for managing all this, because I think we've done a fabulous job throughout that pandemic in making sure money still moves. So applause everybody for, I think, a great job well done. And thank you, the audience, for being here the entire time. Thank you. And we actually have several entrepreneurs and investors, apart from those who are pitching today, who've been with us on the Nest more than once. Love to hear a little bit from them. I know, let's see, Vishal, you're online, and Geeta, you're online as well, I believe. Vishal, I'd love to hear a few words about the whole experience and your thoughts.
Incredible, Jim. And I think thanks to you on twisting me, I've had the chance to be on your show maybe half a dozen times, and I have made several investments. One investment that I particularly am very excited about, and it's going to be a showcase today, is Amp. And I wanted to say a few words about Amp and tell you my story.
Wait. That's unfair plugging here, but go ahead very quickly.
I'll tell you very well. I want to tell you my story that in 2019, when I was being arm twisted into investing in Amp, I said no. And then I met Derrick in person in Mauritius, and he had me at starters at dinner. And then I came on the show a year ago, and I doubled up my investment. And I'm more for later, but I'll tell you more about that story. And it's been an incredible journey.
That's fabulous. That's fabulous. And hopefully there's even a chance to triple up today after listening to Derrick. So we'll see how that goes. Well, great. Well, thank you for that. Moving on, I know a lot of you also have had or asked questions about what Untapped Global does. And so I just wanted to say a quick few words about what Untapped Global does in general as well. Similar to the Nest, our goal is to connect international investors to frontier markets like those in Africa, but to also make sure that the right kind of investments happen. So we don't necessarily want to cut and paste the investment models from other parts of the world without really thinking about whether they're applicable to the markets that we're investing in. So what we try to do is innovate around the type of investments and the investment vehicles so that we can bring strong returns, solve real problems, and create real value in these markets based on those investments. We operate several funds, including a pre-seed and seed stage fund, and we also operate a CapEx facility, meaning a facility that invests in SMEs that need capital to grow. So unlike your typical VC asset-light business opportunity, there are many companies in Africa that need CapEx to really grow their business. They have successful business models and they just need the CapEx. So we've created a business model that is technology-based that allows those companies to get finance, but also allows investors from around the world, including accredited investors as well as retail investors, to support those entrepreneurs and make a strong return and see that in real time. So if you'd like to find out more about Untapped Global, please visit our website, untapped-global.com. And of course, feel free to join our network. We have events all the time, every week on Clubhouse, every month as pitch sessions. And occasionally, such as next month, we also have in-country events where we host investors and introduce them to new markets. So that's Untapped Global. Now on to the entrepreneurs and investors. Love to welcome Ali and Warren and Andreata. Would you like to introduce yourself very quickly? What's your background and why are you here? Ali, would you like to go first?
Sure. Thanks, Jim, for having me. I met Jim on a sunny day in San Francisco a few weeks ago, and He's kind enough to have me here. I've been a serial entrepreneur nearly around 20 years, a couple of exits, founder of Streamlabs and Peanut Labs. Most recent exit was Streamlabs was acquired by Logitech about a year and a half ago. And I've also been an active investor both in public and private markets. Especially with COVID, work from home, it's been exciting to do more startup deals and support founders and really help people sort of pursue their dreams. So I'm an LP in a few funds and also do direct investments.
I mean, Ali's being quite modest here. He's I would say the quintessential entrepreneur in the sense that he makes it happen, and I'm really happy to have him here because I think he can bring a tremendous amount of knowledge and experience creating successful startups. Thanks for joining us. Andreata, would you like to go next?
Great, I can go next. Sure. So hi, everyone. Great to be here. My name is Andreata, and I'm a partner at TLCom Capital. So we're venture capital fund investing in tech-enabled businesses across sub-Saharan Africa. The firm's been around for 2 decades, but operating in Africa for the last 10. We invest in early to growth stage businesses across Africa. We've been investing out of our $71 million fund. We invest. Our investments are currently between Kenya and Nigeria, but we're open to other countries. So some of our investments include Twiga Foods in Kenya, Kobo in Nigeria, investing from $500,000 all the way up to $10 million. It's great to be here.
Great, thanks for joining us. And over to you, Warren.
Hi everyone, I'm Warren Wheatley, live in Johannesburg and Cape Town, South Africa. I'm an accountant by background, though I haven't done a trial balance in must be 20 years now. I'm the CIO and one of the founders of the Le Bache Investment Group. We have 3 verticals of interest, those being financial services, technology, and media. I've met Derrick. How's it, Derrick? We haven't seen each other since COVID. Good to see you again. And Raj, we met in Cape Town at few interactions, and I'm keen to see how the business has grown. But thanks everyone for having me. Cheers.
Thanks for being here. Well, great. Well, hopefully we can convince you that some of these companies are good. One of these companies is a great media play. Well, great. Well, before we go into the entrepreneurs and introduce the entrepreneurs, a little bit of some technical tips here. Please mute yourself if you're not speaking. But I do want to emphasize that this is not a webinar. This is an interactive forum, and we really want your comments and questions and feedback. So please use that chat box. Use it to introduce yourself now. Tell us where you're from, why you're here, but also let's hear your comments and questions about the companies after they pitch or while they're pitching. We know that there's a tremendous amount of experience from you in the audience. So please share it with the rest of the team, good or bad. And if you want to make an investment, feel free to note that in the comments as well. Let's meet the founders. Now, before we start with the presentations, just as a quick note, you guys probably remember, you have 5 minutes to pitch. And once that 5 minutes is up, we will cut you off. So please keep your presentation concise. And then you'll have another 15 to 20 minutes or so for questions and hopefully some discussion on a deal. So with that, over to you, Oumar, with your presentation.
Hello, everyone. So I'm Oumar Basse, co-founder and CEO of Yobanté Express. Delivering packages in Africa is a complete nightmare. The process is expensive, unreliable, and sluggish. In my home country, Senegal, to send a parcel from one city to the next, it can cost up to $40. The parcels are often lost, with no trackability and no accountability. And it can take up to 3 days. To solve this, rather than a new technology, we was actually looking at something very old. Yobanté is a cutting-edge technology that has been around for 5,000 years. Yobanté Express is a web and mobile platform that connects e-commerce, retailers, businesses, and individuals with independent and casual carriers that will handle deliveries from point to point. To start a journey, a client requests delivery using our app or can go directly to a convenient nearby relay point. Once there, the independent agent packs the item into your Yobanté branded parcel and attaches a shipping label that contains a unique online tracking barcode. A machine learning algorithm determines an optimized route for the parcel all the way to the end destination. A motorbike rider, a passenger, a bus or truck driver will then bring that parcel to the next relay point. And that process iterates over and over until the very last mile delivery. At that point, the recipient uses a unique 4-digit PIN code to confirm the receipt of the parcel. And that completes the journey. Since we launched in Senegal just 2 years ago, we have onboarded more than 600 relay points and more than 700 independent and casual carriers. We are now delivering for more than 300 business clients and for more than 22,000 individuals. One of them is Jumia, the Amazon of Africa, and another is WeCurry, one of the largest courier services in Senegal. Why would the largest e-commerce business in Africa and one of our competitors use us? Because we are 40% cheaper and twice as fast than existing solutions. On average, we charge $6 per deliveries. We pay 50% to the carriers and another 25% to the relay points. And we keep the remaining 25% as our income. We also charge supplemental insurance for parcels over $10, and it's for free less. We are now delivering on average more than 35,000 parcels per month, and we're generating more than $225,000 per month. There are every year 7.2 million of parcels sent via the formal network, while the informal network is estimated to exceed 25 million of parcels, and that's just in Senegal. For the rest of Africa, no one knows how big the market is. But according to our estimation, we have extrapolated to the population, the number we have, it's over 2 billion parcels per year. We launched on 2019 a pilot in South Africa. We have partnered with Shiwa and Delta. Now we're delivering per week more than 500 parcels successfully. We have simultaneously launched 3 other pilots in Zimbabwe, where we have relay points, in Botswana, in Nigeria, and in Ghana. I'm Oumar Basse. I'm the co-founder and the CEO. I have 9 years of experience in digital, a PhD in machine learning. My co-founder, Badra Baji, which have 5 years experience in career management. Our CTO, Alun Kase, with 9 years of experience in digital. Our machine learning engineer, which actually works on aircraft engine failures for the French aircraft manufacturing company Airbus. We have 50 employees in Senegal. And of course, we have 3 country managers with 2 sales agents per country. We are looking to raise 5 million for our Series A to land grab and reach critical mass in 1 to 2 additional markets that we already launched. Come join us in our 5,000 years old overnight success. Thanks.
Perfect timing. Thank you, Oumar, for a great presentation. And can you tell us a little bit about where you were when you pitched on the Nest last time and the progress you've made since? How much have your revenues grown? And how much have you expanded your territories of coverage?
So when we was pitching, we was looking to close our seed round. Now we have raised $800,000 as our seed round. And from on average, we were making over $50,000 as a monthly revenues. So now we're making, I mean, more than 225,000 per month. That's actually boosted by the COVID context, and as well as we have now a growing merchant and e-merchant networks, which are mainly social sellers. And as our model is a agent network, we have growing our agent network, which have significantly lead to that growth of our revenues. And of course, we have an extra product, which is our insurance, our delivery insurance product. Thanks.
Great. That's good progress. And were we able to help facilitate some investments through the Nest last time?
And of course, I forgot to mention that, you know, the Nest itself has invested on our previous round.
Yeah, indeed, indeed. So we're biased, but thank you for that. Well, over to the investors, and I'd love to hear their comments and questions. Who would like to start?
Sure, I can go first. Hi, thanks so much for the presentation and great traction that you're achieving. I have a question more around your expansion. Maybe as a start, you're in I think 5 countries now. How have you thought about the countries that you're entering? Because it's from, you know, small countries like Botswana to large countries like Nigeria. And how are you thinking about that expansion?
So thank you for that question. Mainly, we did started launching our pilots in South Africa, where actually we was running the acceleration program with Startup Bootcamp, one of the largest acceleration program in Africa and worldwide. So we did actually take 100% benefit from that, and we decided to launch. First of all, we just wanted to start delivering as we're doing in Senegal, in South Africa mainly. And from our customer discovering journey, we have found out that there was a huge demand, I mean, of individuals which are actually South African resident, but which are sending on a daily basis or on a weekly basis product or groceries to their families back in Zimbabwe and back in Botswana. So we did pilot with those people, and that's lead us to getting these tractions in that country and allowed us to test our cross-border model between South Africa, Botswana, and Zimbabwe. So actually at the same time, we decided to, you know, to pilot in Nigeria, which all know Nigerian market is one of the largest markets in Africa. And of course, we did test it with Ghana, which like a bridge between French-speaking countries and actually English-speaking countries, and which actually could be a good pilot. So what we are proposing is actually leveraging on informal network of independent and casual carriers, leveraging on our resilient mesh network of hubs, which are actually local commerce, to deliver 40% cheaper in process fast. And of course, we're doing domestic deliveries, last mile, and cross-border.
Okay. All right. Thanks.
You're welcome.
Clear.
Oumar, great pitch, really well done. Would you remind us just high level on traction again, please?
All right, sure. Here, the revenues, and here, actually, the network. This is our network. And the revenues is here.
That's great. That's great. Congrats on the growth.
Thank you so much. Thank you for your feedback on it.
And what is just on that follow up from Raj Kulasingham? How does it compare to last year? Let's talk about revenues, for example. And I think you mentioned this a little bit earlier, but just to repeat it.
So yes, you know, actually we was making on average $50,000 per per month as a revenues. We was delivering 8,000 parcels, and now these are our numbers. We are delivering 35,000 plus per month, and we're generating $225,000 some monthly revenues on average, of course. These are average numbers, but we made much more in December and on last month.
Great growth.
Great.
I've got a question. In your expansion plans, your model is quite similar to Uber's in that you use independent contractors for the various legs. How are you managing the various employment regimes in the different areas you're going into? And how are your couriers managing where they come up against traditional courier guys? We had a war in South Africa between traditional taxis and Uber. I'm curious as to how you're managing that in Senegal, if it's an issue, and how you're dealing with that in the various different geographies you're going into.
Well, that's a really interesting question. But first of all, I need to mention that where we differ with Uber or Uber-like apps, it's not we're connecting one single driver to, the client. What we're doing actually is we're delivering from point to point. So mainly we're using long distance bus drivers. We are as well completing it with motorbike riders from a other city level. So to be more precise on that. So of course we leverage on that resilient network of independent and casual carriers. How we're doing to deal with those kind of situation is mainly from the city. What actually we're doing, we have different set of processes. So from the onboarding process to as well sensitizing our agents, as well as, from the revenues and the numbers delivering that we're giving to those carriers. Mainly we leverage on what already existing. Our perfect riders will be those who was already on trips. So it's not because of Yobanté that they was traveling. They was already traveling, and we entrust them the parcels. That's how we're making it cheaper and faster. That's where we differ from other models.
Okay. I have maybe a follow-up question around the relationship with Jumia. You mentioned that's one of your clients. What percentage of your revenue is from Jumia? I just want to get a sense of kind of the distribution of your client base.
So mainly, Jumia is not. The clients that we're making the most of revenues, but it's significant. So what's interesting is we're delivering for programs like Enables, which nearly represent over 3% of our deliveries. And of course, for one corporate client, which is PMI, I don't know if you know them, Philip Morris International, which is like the tobacco manufacturing company, which is like one of the largest, company in Senegal or in a lot of different countries with a lot of branches. Sorry. So it's what we're doing actually, because Jumia is, using mainly independent agents. So we are one of the Jumia deliveries. So what interesting about, mentioning the Jumia is using us is mainly not because they're significantly making more traction on us than the other clients. It's more likely, for Jumia profile as an e-commerce business.
Okay, so they're not a large part of your business, so not a large part of your orders are coming from there.
No, not at all.
Okay. I also have another question around kind of market size and scale. It seems like things are progressing well. And my question is around, if everything works, like how big can this be from, a couple of years down the line? And my question also stems from kind of what I've in markets in Kenya, for example, there's another player that started in this exact same space doing parcel deliveries with motorbikes. And what we've seen is that they've moved up market. So they're now doing larger parcels using vans, so kind of moving away from motorbikes and moving to vans and even long haul. Because the sense is that there kind of the size of the, of a trip is much larger, the commission that you get. Yeah, just want to hear your thoughts on that.
So that's really interesting, but to give you more relevant points on the market size, because we, I just wanted to be more precise because I already have it in here. So if we extrapolate into the other countries where Yobanté Express plan to spend, even if we could do the same calculation, to the Kenyan markets, it's nearly, the informal and the formal markets, that will be 33 million of parcels per year, right? And on Ghana, it will be 68 million of parcels per year. And in South Africa, it will be 132,000 parcels per year. And in Nigeria, it will be nearly 453 million of parcels per year. And Africa generally, that will be nearly 3 billion of parcels per year. And that's big. That's how big the market is. In Africa, I'm mainly talking about the informal and the formal markets. That's something that we clearly focusing on adding our trackability and our accountability on what already existed, which is like the informal way of delivering parcels. Because what's happening is like that could be in Kenya or in South Africa or in Senegal. Maybe the name of the vans will differ, but mainly the most popular practice when an individual or a low income business has actually a delivery workers is not mainly using those delivery solutions. What he's doing is he's going to the bus station and he's entrusting his parcel to the bus driver, and he's taking the number of the bus driver and of course giving the number to the recipient. And that's how the process works. It's mainly, that's what we're calling the informal delivery process. So Yobanté is mainly digitalizing that process. That's how we come up with like not delivering directly from A point to B point. That's the same model that all existing Uber apps models that are doing right now, and they have the single truck problem. That's a old logistic problem, which mainly means if the van is not full or the truck is not full, so the prices, won't be affordable for the clients. And that's our main difference. And we really believe that we could scale that business over those markets and still get market traction. As we have already proven, we're not reaching critical mass. Now in Senegal, in 2022, we have delivered, 557,000 parcels. It's nearly 3.5% of the market. So we can say now we have reached critical mass in Senegal. And now we have 100 days to execute and to do village or land grab to reach that critical mass in 1 to 2 additional markets that we already are piloting, operating, and doing significant deliveries. Not as much as we're doing in Senegal, but we highly believe that the fire is already booming and we just need more gas and we clearly believe that, and we have already planned to add, Kenya to our new markets that we will be piloting and testing our model as well.
Okay, great, thanks.
You're welcome.
Oumar, how do you guys deal with high value parcels? And is there insurance for the consumer? How does that work?
So mainly for the high value parcels, what we're doing actually is now we have been testing the percentage over the declared value of the good, right? So mainly here's how it works with our delivery insurance pricing. So for $0 to $10 is free, and between $10 to $100 is nearly 37 cents, and between 100 to nearly 1,000 it's nearly 50 cents, right? So for high valid parcels, what mainly we're testing is we're applying 1% commission fee on that insurance part. So we're testing it in Senegal. Now we're having fintech startups such as Calpay, such as Digital that are mainly using that, solution, because we know that Africa is mainly a very cash-centric market, right? So it's definitely what's happening. So they have, as a fintech, they have digital solutions, but mainly for the collecting points, they need a logistic solution at least, because there's no way to move money from A to B point for free. There's no way to do that. So either they have the choice to use banks, which are sluggish and which, which actually have very, processing times, which are mainly due to long, queues, and so on. So they're using Yobanté to collect the cash from the points to the bank or directly to, their actually their addresses. So that's what we're doing from that part for high valued parcels. So of course we're keeping it in-house, but before we used to partner with a reinsurance provider in Senegal, but now we decided to keep that in-house because we're significantly getting revenues from the insurance part, which make our model, coming from one revenue stream to a multiple revenue stream.
Well, thanks for that. So I'm curious to hear from the investors. What do you think? Is this something you invested? And for facilitating that conversation, we'd love to hear under what terms you are raising this next round. Can you share that, Oumar?
Sure. So I just wanted to mention that we're in several discussions with a lot of VCs. One is Seattle based, another one is Japan based. So mainly one of them is a part of our current seed round, so which we closed recently. So what's relevant is we mainly doing equity, and of course it's a Series A, and we are looking to raise 5 million at a 20 million valuation. It's pre-money, of course.
Gotcha. Thanks for that. Over to Alice, Warren, and Andreata. What do you think? This is something you might be interested in.
So from my side, obviously we've only been speaking for 20 minutes, so and I'm not an angel investor, so I need a little bit more information to make an investment. But I think if I think about kind of how we think about making investment decisions at TLCom, so it's around, is this an attractive market? Is this a good company? And then is it a good investment? So from what you've described, in this short time, the market seems attractive. This is definitely a business that's, not a single market business, because I think any one market is not large enough because there will be other players. So you cannot capture the whole market. So it's one of those businesses where you have to be in many markets. So I think it's an attractive space. Of course, is this a good company? I've only interacted with the CEO, who seems strong, but I need to kind of get a better sense of the, what's around him within the company. But it's promising. I can't commit to writing a check,
of course,
but it's interesting.
Great. Thanks for that, Andreata. Ali?
Thanks.
Yeah, similar. I think it looks really promising, but I'm just personally very new to the African ecosystem. So Jim, I know we've invested with you, but I haven't done any direct investments in startups in Africa. It looks really, really promising. So I think I just need a little bit of time to sort of digest this. So I'd love to see these slides and just sort of spend some time on the service, look at it and just digest it after the show.
Great. No, that's very good.
Yeah.
And Warren, what are your thoughts?
So I mentioned I'm in media. So we deliver newspapers, and we've just recently divested out of a logistics business because of how difficult it is. So I am extremely curious to understand how you could potentially help me deliver newspapers. $6 though is more than the value of the article we're delivering, so we need to chat about that. But we also, while we are family office and quite quick on decision making, we're not likely to make a decision based on what we saw today. We'd want to interrogate your data room, but I'm happy to progress the discussion, particularly to see what you're doing in South Africa. Logistics is difficult, it's hard, it's fraught with issues, and particularly so when you're delivering low-cost items, which makes it all the more difficult, and you're less able to enthuse your carriers. They don't steal the article, that's the one benefit, but it still needs to get there. So I'm happy to continue the discussion and to see how you can help solve a major problem of mine in some of my other businesses.
That's great.
So
Thank you.
thanks for that. I'll be happy to talk to you all afterwards. So I'll be sharing my contacts.
And we'll make sure that we
Great.
connect everybody as well. So we'll make sure that that conversation happens. And I know there's several in the audience, and just for disclosure, we participated in the last round as well. And so personally, I'm very happy to see the significant bump in valuation. That's great. But I know Vishal and Kendall, you guys have both invested among others on the call. But Vishal, I'd love to hear some of your thoughts.
Well, Oumar, I
being
just want to congratulate you. I was, if you recall, an angel the last time, and perhaps because of network issues, we tried, but because of network issues and communication issues, etc., we perhaps never got the deal done. For the sake of the Nest, I want to recognize you for a really slick presentation today, for the success you've demonstrated over the last year, because you are up 4.5 times in revenue and 4 times in valuation, and you get all the credit for it. You know, I offered you $50,000 last time. We couldn't get it done. I would offer you double of that at Jim's valuation this time, which you're not. But I want to congratulate you.
Thank you so much, Vishal. I'm too happy to see you again on the Nest. So thank you for that feedback. I'm really appreciating it.
And Kendall, feedback from you?
Can I ask a question from me?
Go ahead, Kendall.
No, I just wanted to say I met Oumar in February 2020. It was the last event that I went to before all the COVID lockdowns. And, you know, it didn't take me a long time. I saw the business plan. I spoke to Oumar. It didn't take me a long time to make a positive decision. I did vet the business model very carefully. And I have not been disappointed. I'm just amazed at Oumar's execution capability and his energy, which is amazing. He does yoga too in pools, I think. But I was very happy with this investment.
Thanks, Kendall.
Now that we know that
I'm really excited.
You guys want to change your minds on investments, by the way?
Thanks, Kendall. I really appreciate your feedback. Thank you so much, and thank you for investing. You know, she's one of our angel investors of the previous round, and she's definitely, I mean, on it, giving relevant advices, and I mean, making Urbanta Express, of course, get connected to her networks as well, and that was really interesting. So one of the major current deals that we're closing was like because of she made the introduction, and of course, thank you so much for that feedback.
Thank you, everybody, and congratulations, Oumar. Great presentation,
Jim,
great progress.
One last question. Can I go?
Yes, please.
All right. Obviously, Africa lends itself to a number of logistical issues. How are you guys positioning yourselves for the distribution of vaccines? And I'm not sure if you guys are looking at that as a opportunity, and what do you think you're going to need to do to gear up, for instance, if they need to be transported at -2 degrees or whatever the case may be? but is that an opportunity? Do you see yourselves playing in that space, or is it just something?
So I mean that's a really relevant and interesting question, which is like based on the context. So what could I say about it? Will be we already have our cold chain in Senegal, only in Senegal, but we expecting to replicate the same thing in other markets, which already allowed us to, I mean, deliver, I mean, food as well as, you know, to deliver perishable product in Senegal, which it's not a pilot, it's actually it's have a solid base. So we did not yet deliver the vaccine because in Senegal it's handled by the government, but we will be happy to help if we could definitely have to deliver. And we have the capability to do that because we have on our mesh network of carriers, we have, as I said, a cold chain, which we did piloted over, I would say now it's almost 1 year in Senegal, city to city, as well as, you know, inner city. So I just wanted also to mention that we did a major operation with the government where we did deliver bread. It's almost 1 year now. So we did successfully completed that program, which called Sell Me Your Bread. And there are a lot of peers on that. So we definitely, we did not deliver the vaccine, but if we have that opportunity, we have the ability and I mean, the resources from our network to handle that.
That's great. Thank you very much, Oumar. And again, congratulations, and thank you to the investors and other comments from Kendall and Vishal as well.
Hey, Jim.
Thank you very much. Yes, Raj.
Just one question I have, and again, Oumar, great presentation. I just had one question. One of the kind of reservations that we had last time we spoke to you, and by the way, we'll have a longer conversation about what happened when we didn't invest. But the one concern that we had the last time was that, we thought that you were going into markets that were quite difficult, like Nigeria, where, we felt that perhaps what you're doing in Senegal wasn't easily transportable to somewhere like Nigeria, maybe South Africa is different. Could you just talk us through how replicable this is in all the markets based on your experience so far?
So yes, so really, I understood maybe we'll get a much longer conversation, afterwards about that.
Sure.
Typically, the fact that even last time, one of our investors, he was actually in Kenya, he was sending me pictures, right? What's happened was definitely pretty much, this, the informal model that I was mentioning, which actually mainly popular in all over African cities. So he was sending a picture because he had that African dress that actually he bought from a rural zone, and he was based at Nairobi. So, that woman was asking to him to definitely go to the bus station, and then she already did entrusted the parcel, which was actually an African dress, to that bus driver. And it's pretty much the same in South Africa. When you go to the civic center bus station, when you go to Lagos, in every bus station you were saying major people, entrusting their parcels to, and that's where we believed at the very first time, even before the pilots, that our model is replicable. Of course, we're doing deliveries there, but not as much as we're doing in Senegal. In Senegal, which is significant, we have 3.5% of the markets. And that's the main reason that we definitely want to actually reach critical mass in other additional markets. We are on that way to achieve that. So we will be demonstrating on the next 100 actually days, focusing on 1 to 2, typically Nigeria and South Africa. So it's something that we could achieve to reach that critical mass on other markets as well. We are on our way achieving that.
Great, thank you. And for the interest of time, and make sure that Amp and Yobanté, let's move over to them. Thank you again, Oumar, for your presentation. And while Derrick is coming online and sharing his screen, I'd like to Note that the results from the poll were quite good. You had close to 75% saying they would invest. So congratulations.
Thank you so much.
And now over to you, Derrick.
Okay, thank you, everybody. I'm going to share my screen, and then we can kick it.
Excellent.
Let me know when you can see.
We can see. Go for it.
Okay, let's go. Thanks, everyone. We're going to talk about a slightly different field. I want to talk about Disney. If Disney is the big dog on the block in the entertainment space, it's become quite clear that the next one that will be comparable cannot come from the West. It'll come out of the global South, serving an audience of at least 6 billion people, and it will most likely look more like a tech company than a traditional media company. The advantage that we as a business have in amplifying the global South and building the next Disney is that we have an ad-supported platform that will have no subscription barrier. It rewards the audience for their consumption and engagement. Our tools can be syndicated into other platforms, creating a network effect. We don't license content, we own the IP. Now, what is this nature of the market? Right now, it's been about 170 billion in this OTT space. It's going to be over $1 trillion by 2027. And we believe that an ad-supported interactive video network without that paywall, serving 6 billion people in the global South and diaspora, can capture at least 5% of global market share, giving us a total addressable market of $26 billion. Our team has deep experience in Silicon Valley and as well as in Hollywood, with companies ranging from LinkedIn and Google to Motown Records, Motorola, Paramount Studios, and more. Our currently partnerships are with Apple, ITV, Pepsi, among others. We're turning culture into currency by leveraging youth culture to deliver high-end, low-cost original content on a platform that has a blockchain reward system that rewards the users for their engagement. We're basically reaching out to the most influential cultural segment in the world, rewarding them for amplifying content that they care about and monetizing that entire ecosystem. It leverages tokenized mobile data rewards. Creators and fans are able to earn digital currency and make easy payments using an in-app wallet. The steps are very simple. You engage in the app, you get points for sharing, you translate those points into a digital currency that is pegged to the value of mobile data. And that enables you now to get online basically anywhere. You don't have to just stay within our ecosystem. You can use that mobile data on any platform you care about. We launched this entire initiative with a series called The Mic Africa. It is the first reality TV format born on the continent. We reached more than 128 countries. We had 400 million media impressions worldwide and counting without any marketing spend. Typical social media apps, 2.5 minutes per session, 8.9 minutes for music apps. We achieved 46-minute user sessions in this particular initiative. We had partners across the continent, both in the media space as well as in telecom and other sponsors. And we expect to hit $200 million in revenue by the second half of 2024. That revenue will be driven through 2 types of brand relationships: platform advertising and then sponsorship of original content. And that drives an enterprise analytics product for those same advertisers who want to have a deeper understanding of who is watching and why. In the 9 months since we last saw you guys, a lot of cool stuff has happened. We raised 350 grand on the Nest. We completed the alpha of TBTM. We then went and signed up 10 different partners across the continent. We built our own independent distribution network. We brought on a number of cool sponsors and delivered this particular show. We got a billboard in Times Square, which is cool. And then since then, we were able to look at these KPIs and draw the attention of a number of significant players. We were able to recruit the former GM of Motown Records as a strategic advisor. That means he's not just advising, he's working with us on a daily basis. He and I just got on off the phone call with a Grammy-winning artist. And basically, we've initiated talks with some very significant players across the industry, from Universal to Logitech, a number of different talents, big platforms like Sony and MasterCard. And now we're at the point where we're getting ready for our next launch. So we have 9 media partners. We did $1.5 million in distribution revenue in 2020. Our revenue projections for this year are $10 million. We raised $2.8 million in the seed round. We're currently burning at about $80,000 a month. The last round was done on a $10 million cap and a 20% discount. We're now doing the next round on a $20 million cap, and we are asking for $500,000 from the Nest. The current round is $3 million. We've already got $1.5 million soft circled since we opened the round at the beginning of April, and we expect to close before the end of May. That money is going to enable us to launch this blockchain-based digital rewards program, as well as get some key IP protections and really power towards a very powerful Series A, basically within the next 10 to 12 months, and that is AMP.
Great timing. Right on the dot, 5 minutes. Thank you, DNA, for the great presentation. Over to the investors for their comments and questions.
Thanks, DNA, for the presentation. I have some questions on the business. It was a bit fast, so I didn't kind of catch everything. But just in terms of kind of your product and how you're monetizing that, if you can kind of walk us through that.
Yes. So the simplest way to think about it is if you look at what's happening in the media ecosystem, right? The digital content ecosystem. You got platforms like Facebook and YouTube, super interactive, but the content is mostly like kind of garbage. There's some amazing stuff, but most of it is very sketchy. And you have all kinds of data issues or et cetera. When you go to the flip side, you go to Netflix and Amazon Prime, Hulu, very, very high quality content. And yet there's very limited interactivity. It's basically TV by another name and has a major barrier to entry in that you got to pay to get access. So the simple way to think about what we're doing is we're taking TV quality content with the interactivity of social media. We've been able to sign up media partners that will leverage this platform because we have the capability to reward the audience with mobile data. The more you consume, the more data you earn, which you can use to take your, go on YouTube or check out Netflix, or even, take your coding classes or what have you. So the simple way to think of it is an ad-supported OTT platform that's deeply social and interactive, and it's got a universal rewards program rather than, you got Delta miles and Emirates miles, but you're going to go fly on Emirates, Singapore Airlines, you got nothing. In this case, it's a rewards token built on a private blockchain that enables you to use those rewards across multiple different vendors. So it rewards you for engaging with content, and that's why we say it's turning culture into currency.
Okay.
I know
Understood.
Ali has. Let's come back to you in a second, Andreata, if you don't mind. Ali, sure. I know you have quite a bit of experience in UGC and video as well, so I'd love to hear some of your thoughts on this.
Yeah, DNA, it's a great presentation, really quick. And just some couple of clarification questions. So is the revenue coming from sponsors? Is the revenue coming from selling tokens? Like where do what's the revenue exactly?
The revenue is coming from brands in two predominant forms. It is coming from content sponsorship as well as platform advertising. The challenge with building a company that is built on platform advertising alone is you have to reach massive scale in order to monetize. And what we've realized is that we actually are able to monetize the content as we go and leverage the reach of our distribution partners to actually acquire users and get to those platform advertising monetization faster. And because we have a back-end solution that enables you to understand the audience, you put out a video online and you got 20 million views, you're super happy. When you come out to release the next one, how do you reach the 20 million people? Answer is you can't, right? Facebook and Google will tell you how many watched, they'll never tell you who. We enable that brand advertiser to get deep analytics with the user because the user opts in to provide that data because they're getting rewarded for their engagement. And so we make money from the brands in three ways. They can sponsor content, they can advertise on the platform, and they can subscribe to deeper analytics and actually manage their content campaigns through the platform.
Got it. And do the brands get user level data? So like, for example, I'm just trying to nail down sort of what is the difference in the data between what you get from YouTube, Facebook, whatever, versus you guys. So do they know that Jim was watching for like 22 minutes. Ali was watching for like 42 minutes. Like, is it at the user level or how is it different?
So great question. They'll come in and they'll know, hey, this is generic user numbers. We see that people are spending an average of 30 minutes on your content. That's, 15 times the norm or 12 times the norm, whatever it is. And then you're like, oh, wow, this is amazing. I love this generic data, but I want more. I'm going to run a campaign. And the benefit of being a part of the campaign is the person who wins is going to get a chance to go, get a private conversation with Tiwa Savage, and they're going to get a chance to go to the Coca-Cola bloop-de-bloops, whatever it is. And then people say, oh, I love that. I really want to be a part of that. I opt into this Coca-Cola program. I opt into this Pepsi-Cola program, right? Once they've opted in, the user has said, now I give you my user level information. Why? Because if you don't know who I am, you can't reward me. Let's say I put out, I'm going to offer certain kind of mobile rewards for generic engagement of youth of this segmentation at this level of engagement in Nairobi. Every youth that accepts that data reward comes into my database as part of my channel within the app. So we start with protecting user data out the gate. We can get down to the granular level of, yes, Joey watched it. He watched it for 27 minutes on average. He tends to move towards sports. He's a tastemaker when it comes to that, but he's a bit of an influencer or a maven when it comes to, electronic dance music. It's that level of detail.
Got it. That's helpful. Thank you. So is a good way to think about the platform, just I'm trying to simplify, is brands are paying you for sponsorships, but also to really build their sort of bespoke customer lists, right? Whether
That's right.
In different markets and sorted by different segments. So they're paying you for the tools and the audience, but they're also paying to build their own customer lists that they can use for other things going forward. And then on the other side, you are essentially paying fans to watch. Paying is a strong word, but maybe rewarding fans to watch, so they get something versus nothing.
Exactly. Like this is beautifully stated. The brands are building their database with us in ways they can't do with the existing social platforms. And the fans are really a product for the other social platforms. They don't get anything out of it except the content, right? But virtually every other brand segment has a rewards program, right? And from my hotel to my travel to, my favorite coffee shop gives me rewards if I keep shopping there. This becomes a universal rewards program built around high impact content.
Andreata, you had some questions. I cut you off earlier. Would you like to proceed with that?
Sure. I think maybe a question around markets. I wasn't clear where you operate, because you mentioned you have a billboard in Times Square. Are you global, or you have certain markets where you're focused on?
Yes, so we are global, but we started in Africa. Our basic plan was to begin and launch the ad-supported mobile product and an original series as a proof of concept. We were able to do that, and we reached 128 countries around the world. It stretched more into the diaspora than we expected, but that is complete. Now we launched the Mic Africa with that. We're now expanding into the Mic India as well as the Mic Americas. The Mic India will begin its campaign later in 2021 and will go live in 2022. The Mic Americas will follow shortly thereafter. Though the focus is in emerging markets, but we leverage a diasporic strategy in order to get into other territories. So for example, the Mic Africa is focused on Africa. The distribution was on the continent, but the web and the native app are global. So when we say it's 46-minute average user sessions, that's like maybe 30 minutes in Ghana. That's like an hour and a half per user session in South Africa. The average user sessions in the UK were 3 hours, which is pretty much unheard of for a digital media startup out the gate. So we know that there's traction and there is a passion around this rewards related to engaging and discovering content. And so we see this very much as a global play, but we rooted in the global South, and we touch those diasporic markets to enter into other territories.
Okay, great, thanks.
How about you, Warren? I know you're from the media space. What are your thoughts on this?
So I've got many. Is your model at all geared towards breaking reliance on advertising? And if so, in what way? Because our major issue in our media business is trying to get the customer to pay for the content. How are you addressing that anomaly or that issue?
We think that the customer will not pay for the content. We think that what's going to happen, particularly in the video space, is most of the OTT players will die. We've had the opportunity to look at what happened with some partners like iFlix in Asia, Kwese iFlix in Africa, Hook out of Singapore. And we realized that at the end of the day, when you come to emerging markets and you're trying to get the average consumer who already has a constrained wallet to pay for the content, you run into a couple problems. And the baseline is, what is the nature of the market in which they engage with content? If you think about how most African youth connect with content, it's through mobile devices. So then they got to buy a smartphone, which is expensive. Then you're going to have to buy bandwidth, which you pay 5 times the data price of anywhere else in the world. And then you wind up having to pay for a Netflix subscription, use that expensive bandwidth on your pricey box that you bought in the first place. So what will happen is the biggest players in the OTT spaces, at least, I don't know as much about print media and other areas, but in OTT digital video, most of the players will die. They will be eaten up by Netflix, et cetera, including the ones that are owned by the big telcos. And it's because they're all fighting for that limited subscription dollar. We think what's going to happen is that the brands, if they can find a product where they can better understand the audience, we did some research or at least did some interviews, let's say, with a major African bank continent-wide that had done a lot of primary research. And they've said that one of the key things that they found amongst their top clients as a problem in doing business on the continent was the lack of data analytics on the audience. If we can solve that problem, we think we can do better advertising revenue than the current ecosystem players.
How are you guys thinking about NFTs?
Great question. So initially we're focused on the blockchain-based currency. And we think of it as more of like a game currency. It's on a private blockchain. It can be used for only specific things. And that prevents us from getting into any kind of regulatory issues, et cetera. As you start to onboard talent, there are a lot of things that they can do in that ecosystem in monetizing their content and their assets. NFTs can be one of them. It's something that we're not dependent on because we don't know yet if it's going to fly or if it's going to be a fad in the way it manifests, but we know that digital currency is here for good. It's not going anywhere. The way in which we think about dealing with talent, I'll just give you a simple vertical, because we've said that we're going to sign up major talents, big stars or whatever. Why would they play with us? Well, let's just look at music very quickly. If you're a recording artist, a superstar recording artist, how do you make your money? Not by selling records. Labels make money selling records. Recording artists make money selling tickets. And in 2019, if you were on tour and you make $5, $10, $25 million, great. How much money did you make in 2020? Zip, zero, because of COVID. How much will you make in 2021? Zero plus a little something, but not much. By 2022, you will still not be back to where you were in 2019. You're still looking for what are the ways in which you can monetize your assets. So we've started conversations with significant artists and artist management and labels about ways in which these talents can monetize their digital assets, their content in a digital ecosystem using the currency. If they want to expand into NFTs, that's something that we can look at in 2022. The other interesting thing, though, is it's not just limited to musicians. We had a conversation last week with the NBA Players Association. And they were very excited because they have a program called Think 450, which applies to how do you look at what assets that can value the entire NBA, not just Steph Curry and LeBron James, but all 450 players. And they see this as an amazing opportunity for them because those players, once again, can monetize their content assets, their personality, their personal brand in ways that they can't do with Instagram and Twitter. And so we believe that we can capture the market with significant influencers, and that the needs of that crew will determine for us how much we expand beyond digital currency into potentially things like NFT.
Great. I have a question on the kind of sales process and sales side. Yeah, how is that process working with brands and getting them to sign contracts, and yeah, who does that in your team, and yeah, what are the sales cycles?
Yeah, it's been crazy. Like the first year was a nightmare. And the reason is, I mean, we signed a few sponsors. I'm not gonna call anybody out by their name. They know if they watching, some of them still owe me money. And we're like, yo, we provided everything. We did everything we said we would do. We have a contract. All you have to do is pay. We are waiting for months. So we know that, okay, that's not the way to do it. So what we did instead is we brought on a couple of very experienced, seasoned executives with pre-existing high-level relationships. We brought on an executive from Disney Plus, one from Fox Sports, and as I mentioned, one former GM of Motown Records at UMG. And what that enabled us to do is go directly into C-level conversations with these brands. One of the conversations that has turned out to be quite fruitful is a conversation with a company called RGA. RGA is an innovation agency worldwide, although they don't have strong operations in Africa. They're a division of IPG, the Interpublic Group. And basically what they, it's been months of back and forth and really learning in collaboration, which has been awesome. But through that process, we came to the realization, or at least they helped us realize, that we shouldn't do our Series A now. Because we were thinking, oh, we should do a $10 million Series A. And they were like, no, we can get you $10 million worth of sponsorship for Africa, Asia, and India through our existing client base. We will sell to the clients we already work with. This is how we were able to open the doors with Nike and Adidas and, and through the other partners, through Unilever and MasterCard. And so our strategy is, it used to be like, we're going to go in and pitch and sell because we got such a great value proposition. And we realized that that was not going to work the way we wanted. Even when we closed the deal, and we're still a startup and we don't have leverage on them. But if we go through the agency that already works with them, then the agency actually pays us rather than the brand. It's much easier to close and monetize those deals.
Okay, thanks.
You're welcome.
Great. Well, thank you for that. And love to hear from the investors on what they think about DNA and about AMP. Let's start.
You come across as a deal machine, very impressive BD guy.
Thank you.
I'm curious. So you've projected 10 million for this year, this calendar year, and we're in like halfway into month 4. How much of that has been booked already, or do you see it coming towards the second half of the year?
We think it will likely come in the second half of the year because the sponsorship cycle is from end of June, let's say July, through end of October. So what we've been doing now is preparing for that cycle. That said, we have started conversations with some brands. We've been in deep dialogue with MasterCard. They asked us to give them a final proposal at about $1.5 million. We submitted that a couple weeks ago, and we're following up on that conversation to see if we can get them to close before the rest of the funding cycle opens. The reason the MasterCard deal is smaller is because it's based on whatever is left over for the 2021 budget. What we'll be doing in the third and fourth quarter is actually pitching for deals this year that are based on the 2022 budget. And that's why we feel confident that we're going to hit our numbers.
Got it. Okay. Yeah, the sponsorship, the space is very, very spiky. It's very deal driven, and so you could it's not as predictable. It's not a straight line.
That's right. That's right. And to give you some insight into how we think about it, we think that monetizing the content first is the fastest way to scale and leverage the promotional capabilities of the brands. One of the interesting dynamics that's out at play right now is that you have more demand for content than actual assets. So a lot of brands are looking at things that they could connect with that's going to drive value. For those large brands, when we started, we were focusing on localized brands. And we realized actually we could get more traction, and we are getting more traction with the global brands because there are very few assets that they can buy globally. So with something like the mic franchise, that's something they can buy for Africa, India, Southeast Asia, Americas, etc. And so we think we're uniquely positioned. The series that we launched is arguably the highest production value music series on the continent. And we did it at a fraction of what it would normally cost. So we feel confident that we can give them a real value for their dollar and that will scale.
Great, thanks. Thanks for the presentation. I love your energy. It comes across as, you know, somebody who knows the space really well, which is great. I can't say that I do too, but at least you exude confidence to know the space quite well. Yeah, I mean, I think the point also around kind of, you know, understanding the enterprise sales cycle, and, you know, now you pointed that the working with the agency works better. So that's probably part of key to unlocking the value and trying to get kind of consistent revenues over time. I think for us, you know, our focus is mainly Africa, and I mean, for your business, it makes sense to go global, right? So because our, you know, we kind of have a slightly narrower focus towards Africa, it wouldn't be an exact match, but it's quite it's a promising business, good traction.
Thank you.
So DNA, I mean, devil's advocate. This slide here is fascinating, right? You've got a hit TV show, right, on your hands. Why not just scale that as a TV show company, production company, an IP company, rather than building out the rest of the platform? Because I mean, just looking at these numbers here, one show or just a set of shows or just 3-5 shows could be a really good business.
Yeah, I mean, that's a fair question, and that the attractiveness of that is why Amazon is bigger than Disney, right? So what happened is the media companies made a ton of money off of what they're already doing. I show you this slide to say that, you know, when we say, oh, we could have sponsors in the $5 to $10 million range, that's not an aggressive approach given what happens in this space. And you can actually leverage these assets to finance everything else. But at the end of the day, if you think about what these studios own, it's IP and it's valuable. But then what are the rails that it runs on? And because they didn't take a serious look at the technology, they are now caught up on the back foot trying to build, you know, Disney Plus, Apple TV Plus, Peacock. Everybody's got their own service. And how many times somebody gonna pay $5.99, $9.99? It's not scalable. There will be a few winners, but Netflix should have never got to where they were, right? Of course, but Disney, Warner, et cetera, didn't see the opportunity. So we're looking at the space and we're like, oh, wow, everyone is trying to come up and say, oh, the big dogs are already there. I'm gonna try to copy TikTok and you won't catch them. But where the opportunity is to have those capabilities to deal with the studios and the content needs, et cetera. I mentioned we have a deal with Apple. You know, we're not paying for the content. Apple is paying for the content. We customize, use our tools to curate, et cetera, et cetera. And it's a great opportunity for us. We make a 50% margin. And we partner with ITV, which owns The Voice. But where the opportunity is if you think about what is that next Disney, if a traditional studio owns the means of production distribution, we will own the means of production distribution and understanding the audience. The third one is the most valuable. So it is harder, it means you have to build a solid infrastructure and you have to scale that infrastructure. But if we do so, we win very big. And that's why we're a tech company rather than a media company.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
And from Warren.
Hi guys, Derrick, my only issues with your business is that I feel it's over reliant on brands, and there's not enough thought as to how to get closer to the customer. And I hear that you own the data and all those sorts of things, but until you own the actual customer and in some way doing that, so how do you plan to address that? Like, I mean, what reliance is there that we as a investor can replace on annuity income going forward with regards to just been able to capture or share in the clients? And we're all in Africa, and we thinking about coming up further north all the time. But a major issue is, how do we ensure that we are in the front line of what the guy spends his cash on?
Okay, this is a fair question. So we think that capturing the user at the point of content consumption is the first thing. Then retaining that user in the content consumption is the next thing. The fact that we're able to drive 46-minute average user sessions, and to put that in context, typical social media apps is 2.5 minutes. Music apps is 8.9 minutes. With just this beta campaign we finished in January, it's 46 minutes on average. So that's substantial. We know that there's a value there. What happens is, once you've brought that user into an ecosystem and you bring them access to content that they care about and that they want to continue engaging with, there's lots of different ways to upsell them on additional services, right? That's why we built the digital currency. So let's say that you come in and you do want to check out, you know, something on LeBron James' channel, and you want to see a little behind the scenes of him playing street ball with Steph or hanging out with his kids or whatever. And he's like, oh, that's a premium. So you're going to pay to subscribe for that particular content. And it's going to go directly to him and partially to us. And that's how you leverage their passion for specific personalities, types of content, sectors, and you enable them to decide where they're going to pay rather than creating a paywall for them to even enter the ecosystem. So we think that by bringing an ad-supported product where lots of people can easily enter without a barrier to entry, you have many more opportunities over the lifetime of that customer to upsell them on a variety of different things. The digital currency enables them to have a simple methodology in. And as we all know, in the gaming sector, I mean, digital currencies in gaming alone, forget blockchain, are worth tens of billions of dollars. So we think there's a proven opportunity to capture the user by gamifying content discovery and consumption.
Right, I get that. But in today's world, everyone is a content creator, right? I mean, I could make a video of this and one or two people may feel inclined to watch it. But what has proven successful in media businesses across the world, and look, we 18 months into media ownership, we still trying to find our way, right? And what occurred to us is that we are over-reliant on advertisers, and we need to position ourselves into a space where our content is worth paying for. And those are difficult things, because how do you differentiate content to a millennial consumer where he can distinguish between what's worth paying for and what's not? So we in the sort of primarily news, so that's a lot easier than your challenge. But you know, if I don't want to watch LeBron James with his kids video, I can watch a Beyonce splashing in the hot pools in Yugoslavia video. And I gain as a consumer the same utility if someone was charging me for it. So the question is, how are you going to ensure that he or she, or whatever other, how do you know that the human who's consuming the product will retain your custom? How will you retain his custom?
Retain that customer. Yeah. Okay. So I'll go with that, and then a little bit of context into why I feel this way and how we think about this. So the user gains rewards through their engagement. And we have video API that can be embedded in other websites. By the end of the year, we'll have an SDK that can be embedded in other apps. You could go and try 1,000 different rewards programs, and they're very limited for content. Or you could come here and have a universal rewards program that can be embedded by other parties and other sites and inside their own OTT services and what have you. And we retain the user because those rewards have value to them. And if they leave us and go somewhere else, they start from scratch. And because we built it as an ecosystem play, we can provide those rewards through other players as well. And they also are able to get access to better, deeper data analytics. To give context to how I look at this stuff, because I know I didn't go deep into the background, you know, I'm 25 years in the media space. Worked with Oprah Winfrey, I worked with Steven Spielberg, I've worked with BET, Al Jazeera, ABC, Disney, all of these guys. And the big thing that I'm seeing is there's a huge land grab because everyone wants to see that simple monthly recurring revenue. That monthly recurring revenue that tells you that, hey, they subscribed, I'm good, I'm comfortable, I'm peace. And those business models are mostly going to be destroyed. There will only be a few large players that will succeed. What is going to happen is we're going to wind up in some ways reverting to the mean. And by that, I mean, what were the really transformational media technologies of the past? Radio and television by far outstrip anything else. Why were they successful? So all you had to do is buy the box. Once you buy the box, the content came for free. I will say on the Nest today, and you guys can all check me out 3, 5, 10 years from now and see what happens. Consumers are not going to pay for content. I come from the music industry in the beginning. I remember when it was a $46 billion industry in the late 1990s. It's a fraction of that. What happened? Napster. They should have bought it. They didn't. They tried to kill it. Boom. Everything else changed. And what they found is that, yeah, some consumers will pay for a subscription, for this and streaming, but the revenue for the artists, for the creators plummeted vis-a-vis what it was for sales of the content before. Why? Because now there's a glut of streaming services that all want you to pay that monthly recurring revenue. So what I'm saying is if you can provide a value add opportunity to the end advertiser, where the dollars come from, it's not just like everybody else flat advertising. It's interactive, it's engaged, the users connect with it, they get rewards. It's literally a rewards program around content where they stay with you because they want to maintain it. Same reason why I still have Delta miles. I can't even fly anywhere. My airport is closed. I'm still keeping those rewards with Delta because I spent years building them up. That's how we retain the user in a way that our competitors are not. And we are confident, based on 25 years in the game, that that is where this industry is going to go. People are going to try to find deeper ways to build a long-term relationship with the consumer, and it is going to have to be financed by somebody other than the consumer. The last thing that I'll say is on content itself. You know, why did we make a show? Why did we make a show like the Mike Africa that is such high production value? Well, for one, we knew how to make high production value content at low cost. It's part of the reason we're in Mauritius, low cost jurisdiction. There's also 40% tax rebate on digital TV and film production here. So we save a ton of money. The risk mitigation is significant, but also because we know high-end content is the differentiator, what separates you from the TikToks of the world. We think that if you can have high-end content at relatively low cost that is produced by a variety of different partners who also want to benefit from access to that universal rewards capability and deep data analytics, it's a much, much better opportunity to monetize.
Thank you for that, Derrick. And we're running out. Thank you, Warren. Thank you, Andreata. And thank you, Ali, who just left. Really appreciate the presentation. And we'll try to connect everybody regardless of whether there will be an investment in the future. Want to thank everybody in the audience as well. Now, before I do that, I want to share very quickly the public reaction from your presentation, Derrick. We had close to 70% saying that they would invest. So congratulations for a great public reaction. And I wish you the very best luck in closing this next round.
Thank you.
And with that, thanks everybody for being on the program today. I do hope you join us next month. Next month, we will be hosting African companies going global with a focus on South African companies. And so I welcome you back next month. If you do want to find out more about our programming, please go to untapped-global.com and click engage, and you will see a full list and sign up for different sessions in the future. You can also view past shows and recordings by going to the same place or going to our YouTube channel and looking for Untapped Global. And with that, thank you all for being with us today. And
thank you, Jim. What a
see
great
you next
format.
week. Thank you, Sean.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you for being
Thanks
here.
all. Bye-bye.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you,
Bye-bye.
Oumar. Thank you, Derrick.
Thank you.
Welcome back,
Great
Raj. Thank you, Warren.
Cheers.
Thanks to Fiona and to Kat George and to Lundy Strom for being such great support in making this whole thing work.